Welcome again to episode 2 of
Watt and Catfish Show, and we talk about albums. So this is our second one, and
this is all from memory.
all from all from memory.
At our age, that's a precious
I know,
quantity.
it's all from memory, right?
You know, we come from a place a time where brain cells were at a premium.
I'm still buying a few, I think. Our album this week, and I want to appreciate everybody that looked at the website
Yes,
on
thank
YouTube. We appreciate it. We got quite a few hits. I don't know if you enjoyed the knowledge we gave or laughing at us, whatever it is. We don't really care. We're just glad you're watching us, and
We're meaning to have fun. And
that's
if we
what it's
have
all
fun,
about.
maybe you can, and makes the world a better place.
But
Cheers.
cheers. We got LB running the camera. We appreciate him. He's from Skytook, and
Way up north. Way up north.
well, the album we're doing this week is No Dice by Badfinger.
Hey, you give me my 5 seconds of fame, so I want to say shout out to Judy Booger. God bless her.
Okay.
God love them white booger boots.
Boys, I didn't hardly get through last week with Judy Booger, but
This actually kind of looks like her in a way. She got more clothes on. But for all that knows Judy, she is an absolute sweetheart and probably the most famous dancer from Tulsa.
and the album we're doing is No Dice, as I said.
Yep.
This was the Badfinger's second release.
These
And,
guys,
Yep, there's the guys, original band.
the cover looks better.
So hopefully all you young guys out there that's never heard of these bands might kind of check them out, because this is where a lot of it all started. A lot of these new groups, they wouldn't be out there doing this if it wasn't for some of these old bands. And,
Really, considering our age, you might ask you young people out there in your 20s, ask your grandfather about this one.
yeah, they might have went to a
And-
Foghat concert, you know.
And Grandpa goes, "Yeah, I remember she was
yeah.
on my wall." Oh. But it's the funny thing about this album. When I was, I had to been 16 in '70, and this was on everybody's wall. If any of the kids that were playing music, every rehearsal place had this on the wall. 90% of the bedrooms had this on the wall. This was just one of those. We had been talking earlier about this one, and the picture of Jane Fonda from Barbarella in the nest with all the feathers. That was another one of the big posters, but this one was the main one for guys that were into music.
Yeah, and back then it was there was a few more morals than what there are now. You
But it all
didn't
depended on
see a
how
lot
many
of
drugs
this,
you were doing at the time.
unless you were out in a bar, sneaking into a bar with a fake ID.
Yeah.
They didn't even have pictures on them back then. That's how we kind of got in. Or I got in, but
You had to have that almighty birth date.
yep. But
Boy, you don't look 21. I look young for my age.
But this album came out in November of 1970, and they had a hit single with No Matter What You Are and a song Without You. And it became a big hit with Harry Nilsson, and I think Mariah Carey even recorded that. And I don't guess I've heard that one, but
I'd rather listen to Nielsen's.
I think I would too. Or even their version, even Badfinger's version.
Yeah, you listen to it. Badfinger's version. Really, it's a beautiful song, but it's one of those kind of what they used to call them tearjerker ballads.
Yeah.
it is with kind that, you know, that just kind of tug at the old heartstrings or whatever. And
Brings a tear to your eye.
oh, that sounded like a snort, didn't it?
But yeah, Nielsen, I think he was drinking wine one night, I believe, and he heard that song "Without You" by Badfinger, and he immediately thought it was the Beatles. And the next day, he got up and he started going through his collection, and he couldn't find the song. And somebody told him that was not the Beatles, that it was Badfinger. And so, and I think he made a hit, right? Then
Yes.
out of that,
he had a
recorded.
massive. He had a bigger hit than Badfinger did with it. I mean, it was like a number one after Pete Ham, one of the co-writers of the song, committed suicide. You know, if he had hung around a little bit, you know, it might have been, he might have had a whole different life. But this is just, I mean, this in Harry Nilsson's song, or his version, is still put into movies, and
Yeah.
I think I've even heard a commercial with it. You know, so it's one of those songs that has really stood the test of time. You know, they say every band, you know, really that they need to have that one song that makes the career. And they had a bunch of songs. They had No Matter What, Baby Blue,
Baby Blue.
Come and Get It. Paul McCartney wrote that. And the funny thing about it, you listen to Paul McCartney's version, it's on one of the Beatle anthology albums, Come and Get It. And it's basically Paul doing everything. And you swear to God it was Badfinger, because McCartney sounds so much like him too. But it's just virtually a clone. They played it. He gave them the demo, and they learned it, and it's like they sounded so much like him from the get-go.
Yeah, that's who I thought was singing that. I think it was that their first single, Day After Day?
Day After Day was the fourth one.
The fourth one?
That's the one that Leon Russell played on it. He never got credit, but there was a lot of stuff going on.
I know the first time I heard them, I thought that had to be the Beatles singing.
Yeah.
You know, it was so close. But I was fortunate to get to see Badfinger at the Tulsa Assembly Center. Tickets were about $7. I mean, it seemed like a lot of money back then, but they put on a really good show. Even though they didn't have their amplifiers, they had their instruments, but no amplifiers. They had to borrow them from Shields Music, if you remember them, Danny.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
I used to go down there when Jamie Oldacre worked in there for a while when he was off tour with Clapton.
But they back then the old amps were all tube amps, and I think the ones Shields sent down there were kind of cutting out on them a little bit, but kind of aggravated the band. But they really sounded good, and I think they kicked those amps over when they left, so they wasn't super happy with the equipment. But I was really happy to get to see them.
Well, especially, you know, if they had a good sized show and everything, and the amps keep squealing, or I mean, that grates on your nerves after about the third time.
Yeah.
You know, I can remember us having to stop a gig before with mine or yours. You know, from the amps having problems. Carrie's Caboose Club, one matter of fact, and you have to get, you know, either you've got a great sound man or you learn how to figure it out yourself, right?
That's right. If you get I can't remember who it was. We were playing a gig in Wagner, and I think the bass player forgot his bass guitar. And who does that? He had his amp, no bass guitar. I had an extra guitar, and he ran it through that bass amp and managed to pull the night off playing that guitar, just 4 strings.
4 strings, yeah.
You know, but you know, you do what you got to do. Whether it's good, bad sound man. Everybody's had those, you know, but
these guys were really good songwriters. The entire band, even the drummer, could. He tended to go more country and western kind of type sound, but you know, I mean, they were English, and so even their country and western would come out Well, the Beatles even did stuff like that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you never. There was just so many similarities. They were part of the band was from what, Wales. Part of them were from Liverpool. I mean, they just
Mm-hmm.
they they were at the right place at the right time. And just if they could have just hung on a little bit.
Yeah, they had a lot of bad things happen. Their management. I guess shysters. They took their money.
They were all young kids.
And I believe that had a lot to do with the suicides. I feel. I'm sure they had some personal problems too. Who knows what? But when somebody's ripping you off on your money, that can and you feel like you're broke. That's
And
that's a shame.
you're under contract. You have to write so many songs this month. You have to record so many. You have to go out.
All right, Danny. I believe that the group played on George Harrison's "All Things Must Pass" album.
Yes, they were basically the Phil Spector, the George's co-producer on the project, liked to double up on everything, double up, triple up. He was known for having 4 or 5 bass players playing the same note, and just things like that. So all the guys in Badfinger played guitar. So they were, I think that's the credit they got. They just got their own little deal, said acoustic guitars by Badfinger.
Badfinger,
And,
yeah.
they literally played all these lush acoustic tracks were Badfinger. And and they also played at the concert for Bangladesh.
Yep. Yeah.
And they played on, 2 of the guys I think played on John Lennon's Imagine album. They played several tracks on there.
Mm-hmm.
Like How Do You Sleep and Jealous Guy. They did a lot of session work, because with the way their management was, they'd get a tour and then they wouldn't. They just didn't. There wasn't that much money coming in for the band to have. All the money was going to management, the label, the bills, so they were left virtually destitute. But they were doing better around this album. Mal Evans, the Beatles roadie, was the guy that produced it, his very first production job. And I think he got that because nobody else wanted to produce him at the label. Mm-hmm. And he knew what it took to make a band sound good. Because, he'd been with the Beatles since the mid-'50s as their roadies. So it's still one of the best produced albums. You can listen to it in the headphones, crank it up and enjoy it. It's a lot of fun to listen to. It goes from pop to almost soul type things. Mm-hmm. They're just these delicate acoustic things. And then one of the things that people didn't get to see that much, because their ballads and stuff were real popular, but they could rock and roll with the best of them, because they have an album it's called Live at the Agora on Ryko disc, I think, that's just 2 guitars, bass, and drums in their vocals. And these guys were good. They were every bit as good. Didn't have a keyboard player. The version of
And No Matter What?
no, not No Matter What, the other one. See,
Without You?
Without You. Okay, it's done with acoustic guitars instead of a keyboard and strings and all that. So it's, they were good.
Oh yeah, they were.
But this album still, it gets mentioned as much as The Day After Day.
Another thing I was going to say is he was mentioning the George Harrison "All Things Must Pass." If you find that album or that box set, if there's a booklet in it, you want to grab that booklet. That thing is very hard to find.
Yes.
I'm not sure what it's worth, but you definitely want to pick that up. I know on their final tour, that Tom Evans in 1983, his spirits were really down, I guess, with the financial thing and just the way everything was going. And that's when he committed suicide, I believe.
Mm-hmm. He found out that he had throat cancer, and like we were discussing earlier, he was destitute, which is beyond broke,
Mm-hmm.
and had all these bills from the touring, just trying to keep the band going. And he did where Pete Ham hung himself in his garage, Tom Evans hung himself in his. And it's
so
one of the
strange.
really weird things in their story, that, you know, two members do the same thing basically in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But if you get a chance, young or old, if you can find this album, give it a listen to. It's really well worth it. It's like Danny said, it's very well done.
and you can get it on CD. It's in wide release on CD, and with the CD, it has almost the full album again. Before Mal Evans produced them, Jeff Emmerich, who he ended up engineering the album too, I think, but he tried producing them, and it's a whole different sound. It's very rock and roll. I mean, real hard edged. And the people at the label said, no, it's got to be smoother, you know. So, you know, Emmerich had to just go back to twiddling the knobs, and Mal's the one that made them sound like what the record company wanted.
I'll tell you what, you see what Catfish is here. I'm telling you, this guy, he knows a lot about music. He may not be John Henry, but he's pretty close, you know.
That's what I can remember from the day. It's
Yeah.
just like my brother here, you know, we this is fun. That's all. That's what this whole thing is about. You know, maybe enlighten you a little bit, turn you on to something that maybe you missed somewhere, or maybe something that you'd forgot about. And
We don't want this
This
music
kind of
to die. We don't want it to die.
No.
And right now we don't have, what do we got? One classic rock station that plays the same damn thing over and over. You know, you can about
you know, you turn it on the dial at like 7:45. Okay, there's Boston's More Than a Feeling. You know, you turn it on at 8:15, and you got Loverboy, Working for the Weekend. You know,
all great songs. Don't get us
Yeah.
wrong, but you know,
Oh,
you
yeah.
just hate to hear them
there's
over
so
and
much.
over.
There's
you know.
so much more good music out there, and you know, you never know what you could find. Go out to, if you've got a local record store, or a flea market, or an antique store that's got vinyl and CDs and stuff like that. Go out and dig through it. Take a chance.
Yeah, see what you think. If nothing else, just YouTube this, you know, and give it a listen, you know. But
Hey, if you follow us on Twitter and Instagram, send us a picture of whatever you find too.
Yeah.
oh
Find a
yeah,
cool album,
yeah.
something.
Yeah.
We'd love to see your score, man. That's
absolutely.
I mean, that's something he and I do on a weekly basis. You never know when we're going to run into each other. You know, we'll crisscross town because there's half a dozen different places.
Oh, yeah.
Run into each
Yeah.
other after work. Well, man, I was bored. I got to go do something before I go home. You know, and
Oh yeah, I found an album the other day. I can't remember the guy's name. I'd never heard of him before. The only reason I looked on the back of the cover, David Lindley was playing on that album, and I thought, heck, I'm gonna go ahead and buy it because I want to see what he does, you know. And but we hope you enjoyed the show, and if you have any comments,
oh, just a minute. Keep talking. Keep talking.
just let us know. We'd like to know where you're from. You know, if even if we can get somebody from from Kansas, we'll feel like we're doing pretty good. You know. But
Our producer wanted us to show you what we're going to do next week. So, this is Cactus. Cactus was known in the 70s as the poor man's Led Zeppelin. And this picture is also the poster that came with the album. And this is the bathroom at Jimi Hendrix's Electric Ladyland studio. There have been more posters made in this bathroom than you can imagine.
Close enough.
And it's really, these guys, I mean, we'll get into the story about these, but this is another one. It's a great story. It can be a tragic story, but their music, like Badfinger, has lasted for decades now.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all get to listen to Cactus, or get to hear about Cactus one way or another next week. And now for the entertainment section.
Whatever you want to call it. Well, here's we're going to try one off the No Dice album here, and
Just remember, this was about 50 years in the making.
oh yeah, and had somebody want to know what kind of guitar this was. It's an Ovation. It was made in Connecticut, USA, and I think it was 1979 is what I tried to look up. But anyway, it's a nice playing guitar. So anyway, we're going to try Badfinger no matter what you are. No matter what you are, I will always be with you. Doesn't matter what you do, girl. Ooh, girl, won't you? No matter where you go, I will always be around. Won't you tell me what you found, girl? Ooh, girl, won't you? Knock down the old gray wall, be a part of it all. Nothing to say, nothing to see, nothing to do. If you would give me all, as I would give it to you, nothing would be, nothing would be, nothing would be. Nowhere where you go, there will always be a place. Can't you see it in my face, girl? Ooh, girl, won't you? Knock down the old gray wall, be a part of it all. Nothing to say, nothing to see, nothing to do. If you would give me all, as I would give it to you, nothing would be, nothing would be, nothing would be. No matter what you are, there will always be a place. Can't you see it in my face, girl? Ooh, girl, won't you? Ooh, girl, won't you? Ooh, girl, won't you? Thank you all for listening. I'm Watt.
I'm Catfish. Good night.
Good night.
Ah, that's pretty good, boys.
Shit,
I think
I
that-
should have never played that.